Well, hello, everybody, and official welcome to this prayer drawing workshop. I'm Connie Hubbard, and I'm excited about sharing this with you today. And we're doing a prayer drawing of the word that we have received for this year of 2025. And I will tell you in a little bit what my word is, but I want to hear from you what your word is. Jenny, Judy?
I think my word is discernment because there's no other word coming through as loud and clear as that one.
Okay,
Yeah, kind of a long word, but
it's a good word.
yeah, it is.
My word is sense.
Sense.
Mhm.
That's a great word too. Yeah. And you can do this word tonight. And if you have another word, you want to do two or three, you can use the same pattern for the other word. And I know Judy is very familiar with the prayer drawings, and you've been in several of my workshops, and you've done great drawings yourself already. And Jenny has experienced it once, but just for the sake of the recording for the video, to go over some of the principles of what prayer drawing is. Well, it's a visual way of praying with instead of using words, spoken words, though you can pray out loud while you do this, you can you can still pray even when you have no words, or you're in a place where you cannot speak out loud, you can still draw your prayers. Um, it's a way of listening to God. It's calming. It calms us. It's very peaceful, and we have to stay in the present moment. It's very difficult to think about other things. It just sort of holds our brains and our bodies and our whole being in the moment. And it's very insightful because as we draw, we combine the heart and the hand, and as we draw, we're getting into the right brain creative flow. And so it's not surprising when we get insights and other ideas or things that you hadn't thought about before pops into the mind. And the method that I use for this kind of drawing is based on a neuro art style, and that consists of circles, lines, and color. Everything's connected. And one of the things that we do in this drawing, we round the corners because that's where the neuro part is coming in. We connect the lines by integrating them, by rounding the corners. But don't worry about it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But really, it's very simple, and any child can do it. So it's great for any age. And you can do this with your kids, Jenny. Um, and it's really fun because they often are not uh, as inhibited as we are, and maybe are freer and haven't been quenched yet. I always give a trigger warning when we do this because if anybody has had a bad experience with a teacher or a parent who put you down for the scribbles, it could touch a place in the heart that needs to be healed. And the good thing is that when we bring that to the Lord, it is healed. He brings healing to us. So, we don't compare ourselves. Everybody is at a different place. And so we don't ever want to compare ourselves to or our drawing to somebody else. I believe as we do it unto the Heavenly Father, He's delighted with whatever we bring to Him with a sincere heart of wanting to please Him and co-labor with Him. I have a couple examples here of what we can do. This is what I call this my flower model, where we either put the word, that's what we're going to do today, put our word inside the circle. We can put the name of a person in here, and then the things that we're praying for that person. And so we can put the flower in the middle, or as in this example, put it on the side. And what I did here is I did a meditation on Psalm 103, and I put in really just what is in the Psalm here in these petals. And it's a way of meditating on the Psalm, on the words, and getting them into my heart. This is one I did for someone. I used Psalm 91 to pray for someone. Her name's Mary. And so I wrote in here, Mary is under your wings. Lord, you are her refuge and fortress. Mary will be protected in all her ways, and so on. And these are related scriptures that also came to mind that have to do with protection and covering. So before we talk anymore, and I can share some more things as we're drawing, but I want us to jump right in and draw. Are there any questions or comments at this point? No? So you have your materials, your tools ready. I use these two Sharpies are my friends, regular fine point Sharpie and ultra fine point Sharpie. And you can also use a black ink pen. I do a lot of drawings just with the ink pen. And then some coloring pencils. Mine are watercoloring pencils, but regular coloring pencils or crayons will work just as good. And then any kind of paper, whatever you're comfortable with. And if you want to, you can do a sort of an outline with a pencil first. That can always be erased later, but I usually don't do that with a pencil. But for those who are beginners or who might watch this and go, I don't want to put a circle on here yet with my Sharpie, then you can use just a pencil to draw an outline. My word is focus, by the way. So this is, we'll see how focused we are here. Bringing this into focus, it was kind of not as clear earlier, but anyway, so we draw a circle and then just draw some petals, not too small, and I'm just doing like groups of 3 here, and then fill in some more, and then I'll go over it with my ultra fine point Sharpie. Then just put your word in the middle. And you can use the thicker Sharpie for that too. I think I will, because I will outline it anyway and make it thicker. So my word is focus. So if your word is longer, you have to just do a longer or an oval. That would work too. And then what we're looking for is in these petals, we're going to write definitions, scriptures, associations. In other words, what other words come to you, maybe synonyms, or what else you think of when you hear your word. And then application, in what areas of our lives we want to apply that. And then we're drawing here circles. They can connect, they can be partially on the paper or even partially going into the petals. And these are resources. Here we can write promises from the Lord. Also scriptures, either here or in the circles. And anything else you can think of what might be a help or a resource. And everything will be connected later. So I'm just going to erase my lines, my pencil lines. Okay. When we draw, we get into a creative flow. Sometimes that doesn't happen right away, but just know it will happen. And I always say, if you can't draw a straight line, you're in the right place. Because in neuro art, we don't draw straight lines. It's like in nature, in the body, there are no straight lines or sharp angles. Everything's rounded and connected. I like to go over these. So I'm going to start writing some of the things in, and I may write some words and then do a little bit more drawing and then write again. And what I'm just going to do is kind of talk through my process, but you apply it to your word and to your process. And anyone who's watching this on the video replay, I just invite you to try this out and join in, sharing your word, and we can all be enriched by that. So, I learned something new about this word focus that I didn't know before. Literally in Latin, this means we have taken this word focus over from the Latin, and it means fireplace, hearth. And in Italian, it's fuoco, and in Spanish, it's fuego. You may have heard that before, fuego. And it's related to the word fuel. So that's telling me, for my word, if I'm focused, I am warming myself by the fireplace and I am being fueled. Well, I mean, that right there, when I learned that right there was worth it for me. Wow, this is great. So now I'm writing some of the definitions, and you may need to look up some of the definitions if you haven't done that already. Um, 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 wrote here, ability to give full attention to something or someone. Hmm. Give more attention to Jesus, who is the focus. Or, yeah. I also asked or thought about what song my word could be connected to, or what song I could think of. And a song came to my mind. And when I looked up that song on YouTube, oh my goodness, I loved it so much. It was Jesus at the center of it all. It was really powerful. So I'm in one of those bubbles. I'm going to write that song because that's one of my resources to go along with this word, this song. I saved it in my or download videos so I can listen to it periodically and be reminded Jesus at the center of it all. And so you can think of maybe a word or, I mean, a song to go with your word, or, and then scriptures. Um, um, yeah, many others. I had several here. And I'm gonna write them in the petals. You could write them in the circles to it. That doesn't really matter. You know, a lot of this is very intuitive and individual, based on your preferences or how you want to do it. And I'm not going to write my whole scripture in there, just part of it, just to remind me, and I can remember the rest. And then, of course, prayers to go with your word. My prayer would be asking the Lord for help. Just help. Help me, Lord. I'm going to put here, I need help. Help me, Lord, to focus. Yeah. I can't do this in my own strength. And uh, help me, Lord, to eliminate distractions. here in these bubbles where I said we put our resources. I put grace power from heaven. Yeah, prayer. Prayer is also a resource. It's something we do, but when others pray for us, we benefit from their prayers, and that can be a further resource. Community. Even this right here, doing this in community, that is a resource. That's a help. Help and support. Holy Spirit, guidance. So this is the first time I'm doing this with a word, like that I want to meditate on for the year. I've done it with other words, and you can use any word, like a grace, faith, any word you want to study or learn more about or meditate on, using the same principle. How is it going?
I'm mostly just outlining because I don't have a lot of thoughts. But I've been writing down actually your thoughts,
Okay.
which which is a psalm, a song, a prayer for help, uh, and just the word resource bubbles to kind of be mindful
Mhm.
of what those are. I like your eliminating distractions.
Mhm.
Um, I'll probably be putting that on mine too for distraction. I mean, discernment.
Yeah, yeah, right. What is a distraction and what is not a distraction? That takes discernment too. Because what's a distraction for one person might be good for another person to do. So, yeah, it's not so easy because you hear me talking and it's hard to concentrate on your own thoughts, but I don't know how else to communicate or share what
Well,
I'm
I think
doing.
it helps because watching you do that helps inspire
Hmm.
the activity.
Thank you. Yeah, you may not finish your drawing tonight, and I don't want to keep you really long either, but if you at least once you're started, you can finish it later on your own. And I do want to like partially finish at least one area with the color because the color adds so much. And one important part is the lines connecting everything because you see some of my bubbles are out here and they're not yet connected. So what I'm doing is I'm starting from the center and almost like a creek or a river, letting that flow through, connecting, just coming by those bubbles and touching them, connecting them. You can go through or, have just go by as long as it's connected, as long as they're not just hanging in the air. And that motion or that movement is like an outflow, flowing out from the center into every area. I could write specific areas where I need to focus and fill that in. I can add more bubbles and I still have some empty. And I always say it's okay to leave some empty. I pray this prayer sometimes. Lord, would you do or give me what I don't even know how to ask for? Would you, release that those things that you want to give me, but I'm too ignorant or I just don't know how to ask for. And so to me, these empty spaces represent that too. Or unexpected blessings or to be filled in later. You might come across a song or a poem sometime down the road and then think, oh, that goes with my drawing. I'm going to put that in there. And by capturing that, it's not as easily forgotten. And this can be like a visual reminder and a record of that prayer. I have given a lot of prayer drawings away, meaning when I prayed for other people by drawing, I just take a picture of it and send it to them. And it's such a blessing to them. They just love it. People just love it and feel seen and cared for. A friend of mine who has learned this technique has made drawings and given prophetic words to people, and that things that came to her while she was drawing. And wow, it's just something to when you tell people, well, I've been praying for you, that's super. But when you can give them a drawing and say, yeah, I've been praying for you and this is what I was drawing, so adds another dimension to it. Can you see the feeling of it with those lines? How it brings everything together and causes a flow.
Mhm. Mm. I love how your word stands out in the middle, especially since the word is focus.
Yeah, right. Focus. And wherever you feel it, I always say too, listen on three levels, like listen to your body. How is your body? We talk in the confessional community so much about the embodied experience. What is your body feeling? I often, when I sit down to draw, after a while, I find myself sighing. And it's like letting out all of the tension and just calming down. And then we listen to our heart, our soul, and we listen to the Lord. And just this feeling of like if you feel drawn to a certain area or feel like there needs to be another circle right here, like a space, go with that. So much what we feel in our bodies is beyond the rational mind. beyond the function part of our heart. But what I love, it gives our creative and emotional part more room to explore, more space to be. Yeah, it really grieves me that they're eliminating these things more and more out of school, out of the schools, and so much focus is on functioning rather than intuitive, creative areas. Uh, Are your kids creative, Ginny?
Yes.
They would probably love this. I did this in Sunday school at a church we were going to. And the kids, one kid, one little boy, he made a drawing for his mama. It was the sweetest thing.
Oh,
What he wrote in his petals, he was like he's giving his mama such a beautiful gift.
oh,
Yeah, it was so precious.
wow.
And he was drawing with all of his heart and mind, and it just warmed my heart. Okay, one of the things that I do a lot of journaling, and that is a help and resource as well for me. That's going in there. Um, Worship, reflection, and hmm, okay, yeah. I'm gonna start with some color. And I like using a lot of the light and bright colors. And I don't know, sometimes when it's obvious that there is a connection, like with the fireplace, that focus means fireplace,
Mhm.
earth. I'll put red, yellow in here, orange to make it bright and fiery. I had no idea. I did not know this about this word. It has just expanded in meaning, and I'm gonna do a little shading over it. And it's the picture that I get. Like when I focus on Jesus, I'm warming myself in his fire, in his presence.
Mm.
That's the association or the connection. And for me, I'm gonna do this one blue because it's heavenly, and Jesus has come from the heavens to the earth, and he is with us. We're seated with him in heavenly places. If you've never studied the colors of the Bible, I highly recommend that. Just it gives more room or more opportunity for the language of the Spirit when we know what the colors mean.
Mm.
And I was talking with someone this some time back, but there are times when you're drawn to a certain color And have you ever stopped to think about what is this telling me? What is God telling me through this? So look up the meaning of the color. What does this color represent? And maybe you see the Lord he likes to give us clues and wants to engage us in searching things out. And then I also look at balancing the colors. I don't want to have just a bunch of blue over here. If I have a lot of blue over here, I'm going to put some blue on this side too. I just want to have a balance in there. That's also a criterion that I use. And mostly it's intuitive. I don't think about it. I just grab what I feel drawn to. I just learned something recently that I didn't know, that many autistic children have a favorite color. It's like I have my former foster daughter, one of her nephews that she's raising is autistic, and he is crazy about green. Everything green that comes into the house, he thinks it's for him. He loves green. And another friend of mine just told me today, one of her grandsons, who is mildly autistic, hates brown, has a distinct dislike for brown. So isn't that interesting that colors speak to them like that? So yeah, if you have a color that just is like, that's a color that's a favorite one and you can't get enough stuff in that color, I would say look it up, see what that color, or what I should say, not the colors, not what God is saying through that color.
So I found something because of what you said. If you
Yeah.
can see this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that you can see the
I
word.
can't see the word. I can see the picture.
Yeah, so they're kind of biblical definitions of the colors.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I printed it out and I keep it with me. It's really fascinating
Yes, yes, yes.
uh just to recognize what you just said about um our attraction to colors and on a particular day too when
Right.
I find consistently that I use certain ones.
Uh-huh. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And of course, every color has a positive meaning and also one that is like yellow. It's light, but it can also mean well, in common vernacular, we talk about yellow like a what's the word? Someone who is I can't think of the word right now. Um, well, let me use another color. Green means new life, right? Growth. And it can also mean, we say green with envy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to colors. We don't want to get too distracted by it, but I like to do shading a lot. I noticed that. I like the dimensional. It's almost like I want to bring it out more dimensional, make it more dimensional in a way. You can work on this for hours. It's possible to work on it for many hours. But it's also okay to start something, especially when you have, household to run and kids to cook for and take care of, to start it and then come back later. It's okay to leave the background white. I think it's more powerful. I like when the whole paper is colored in. I like that better. But that's just total preference. And sometimes I just do a quick one. If you don't have a lot of time and you want to do a quick prayer drawing, use a smaller paper. Make everything smaller. I have a notepad that fits in my purse for that purpose. So don't worry if no, you're not finished, you're not able to finish this tonight. You just can go back to it later. I find though that once I get started, I don't want to quit. So to do a good size drawing and really do it thoroughly, it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, you have seen me do this with names, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really fun when you take a person's name and write things with the beginning of the first letter. Good, good positive attributes, for their birthday or things like that. So, and even though I tend to kind of draw within the lines, but the lines don't need to be the boundary for the coloring. So I'm going to break out here a little bit. Um, yeah, I stick too much to, see, I'm a more of a rule follower. So it's totally okay to draw outside of the lines with the color, to put the color in spaces where it crosses the lines or goes into the other colors. Yeah, actually, that I really like what I did here. I need to do that more. I tend to get stuck in patterns. Okay, just have pretty much colored my paper in. And We'll go over it with my water brush. And the way I do that, I always start with the lighter colors first. And this could be if I would press down more and, color it in more in a thicker way, it would be more intense, but I kind of like that lighter touch. So, and also my ink, these ink blocks, I'm going to use a couple of them here just so you could see the difference. These ink blocks are intense. I'm going to do, so this is how I use them. I can use them this way, or like I said earlier, use the brush and almost use it like a watercolor pod. But I just want to kind of see the difference when the color comes, when the water comes on there. Issue nearby. Okay, I love this part when I go over it with with the color and it just really pops. So satisfying. And we're not out to create, art pieces that are going into a gallery, but just although sometimes I've surprised myself with some of the drawings and how beautiful they turn out. That's not really my main art type thing. I'm not doing it for the purpose of art. That's what I want to say. I'm doing it for the purpose of meditating, praying, connecting. It's amazing how intense these colors are, even though I just put them on pretty lightly. Okay, here is the ink. Oh yeah, the ink crayons or the blocks. This acts a lot like watercolor. You can,
Wow.
yeah, it's really pretty. There was a pigment here that I didn't realize, and it was on my brush. It got picked up somewhere else, and the blue got in here that I didn't intend, but it's okay. I like it.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like it.
I like it too. Those are those interesting accidents that, okay,
Mhm.
keeps me flexible. My water brush is pretty ratty, but I've used it. I have to say, it has served me well. It has a lot of miles on it. was curious how I can add even afterwards if there isn't if there is an area that's not doesn't have enough color. Oh yeah. Wow, you can really shade well with that too.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I could do work on this a whole lot more, but for now,
I really like the colors and the intensity.
thank you. I do too. It's
Um,
bright
yeah.
and um yeah.
So one of the things I've done before with you as you're guiding us through is I just Googled my word.
Huh?
I Googled my word and it just gave me a lot of different scriptures and really neat words to fill my petals with.
Yes. Cool, cool.